Hello. Hello, 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 hello. So this is an autism vlog about something that makes life much more difficult than necessary for autistic people. And first off, I'm going to start with by telling you about emotional labor, which is not childbirth, but labor as in work. I guess birth is work, but when an autistic person, many autistic people, not all, but this applies to me, when we go to socialize, when we go to engage other people, it's work to us, to me, to us. When I say us, I mean autistic people who experience the same issues that I do or similar ones, is that it's work. It's like work, so it's hard, and it can be scary and intimidating, and oftentimes the payoff is not worth the effort. A neurotypical can just walk up to somebody and ask them a question, and it's just like, oh, okay. You know, and it depends on what the question is and what I'm engaging for. Like, if I'm engaging because I'm being silly, that's different than me making a serious request, like calling somebody up on the phone and asking for a ride because my mom's car broke down, or because my mom, like a couple weeks ago, was in the hospital and I had to call somebody in the choir to give me rides until my mom could drive again, and that was terrifying to me. I mean, and I'm going to show you why emotional labor does not pay off for me sometimes, especially when it comes to asking for help. Here's the thing, is that autistic adults may not have skills that are present in neurotypical adults. So things that neurotypical adults do without thinking, like balancing a checkbook or cooking or driving, we may not even do until our 20s and 30s, and these could be things that, you know, neurotypicals were doing in their early 20s and even some things in their teens. You know, like cooking. There's some people that they were cooking by the age of 9 or even younger. And I cooked a full meal all by myself with just the instructions written by my mom, of course, who knows how my brain works, so she made sure the instructions were things I could follow, and they accounted for my executive dysfunction, which was nice. But for the first time in my life, at 39 years old here, I'm 39, it's 2019, my birthday's in July, 2019, 39, I cooked an entire dinner by myself. Now, granted, it was a simple meal of Kraft mac and cheese and hot dogs, but my mom adds a little stuff to the mac and cheese, so it's not just the powder, and it makes it like creamier and just taste better. And everything has its own timing, and you know, she showed me how to do it. You know, she wrote it down and said, tell me if you don't understand any of this. She was doing this from the hospital when she was in the hospital, which was really funny. We were doing it on Facebook Messenger. Don't ask for my Facebook because that's private for family and people I'm very close to, just so you know. But she was just instructing me from Facebook Messenger, and I wrote it all down, and then I went and I did it. And the first time I missed one ingredient, but I got everything else right. Second time I did it, it was alright. And now I can do it by heart. I don't have to look at the paper. But now here's the thing. I'm 39 and I am not familiar with cooking and working around in the kitchen. I'm getting some basic ideas of our other meals, of how they work, just by watching my mom do it. But here's what often happens. Okay, now I'm the autistic adult here. So it's like, hey sister, I am gonna cook dinner and I'm not sure how I'm supposed to brown the meat. Can you help me brown the meat? Can you, please? Now here's the sister. Here's where it always gets screwed up for autistic people. How old are you? 39 years old? And you don't know how to brown meat? Are you serious? Come on. Figure it out. Did you see what happened? All that emotional labor, and I basically got kicked down the hill. You know, it's basically, I put out my hand asking for help, and I got that. I reached for help, and I got that, and that, and that, and that. when you reach out enough and this is what happens, what's the tendency? You just don't, because you get hurt. You know, I don't care if someone is 50 years old, and if you know how to cook and they don't, and they ask you for help, just teach them. Just teach them how to cook. It could be really fun. You know, me and my mom in the kitchen, you know, I watch her do things, and we'll talk and stuff, and she'll give me little tidbits of advice while she's doing the hamburger helper, and you know, and one time I actually smashed up the meat to create like the meatballs, you know, because it's hamburger helper. So you got the ground beef and you break it up, and she let me do that one time. And my thing in the kitchen is I'm afraid of the pan because the noise, you know, that when it's sizzling, that noise freaks me out. But I'm always afraid that something hot is going to jump up and get me. And so, you know, she said, just get up to the stove. It's not going to hurt you unless you do something really silly. You know, don't put your fingers in the flames, and don't touch the pan, touch the handle. And then she's like, okay, now just take the thing and just smash it. And it's like, oh, that's like breaking up the cat food. Just I have to do it a bit harder. I have to hit it harder. And so it's like, okay, this is something my brain knows how to do. I just have to apply it to a larger thing. But if my mom had turned around on me and said, you know, you're on your own. Just figure it out. You're 39 years old. You're on your own. You can do it. Just do it. It's like, I don't know where to even approach or begin. And now I have to go on my own and figure it out. And so what happens? The autistic person might go online and look it up, and they might do it just fine. Or they may just throw themselves into it completely cold and not know what to do, and they end up burning dinner, and then they get yelled at because they ruined dinner. And then they never want to cook again because it was miserable. So when you crap it on an autistic person who's asking to learn, you're discouraging them from wanting to learn. Because it's like, if I ask this, I'm just going to get laughed at or belittled or told to just go figure it out on my own. And I mean, I don't care if you were making fish sticks in 3rd grade. If I come up to you and ask, you know, can you help me do this? Just be like, okay, here's how you do it. Just here, let's do this together. And it's like, okay, you know, because I'm not a child, but my brain is also developing on a different trajectory to yours. So the way I learn things and things that I learn might come to me a bit later or a lot later than a lot of people, and there are other things that I'll do that are early sometimes. You know, when I was little, I toilet trained myself at age 3. When I was a kid, my mom would take me to the bathroom with her because I was such a human pinball that she couldn't just leave me alone. So I would see mom use the potty like it was no big deal. And when it was time for me to just start doing that, I just copied mommy. It was really just that simple. I don't remember actually doing it, but I remember being in the bathroom with her a lot when I was really tiny. So, like, that kind of thing. And I know there are other autistic people who take a long time to toilet train, and there are some that are still wearing incontinence products now. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. You know, if you got an autistic person who comes up to you and goes, can you button these buttons for me? You know, what if they're dyspraxic and they don't have the hand control to button their shirt? If you tell them, oh, come on, you're an adult, you can button your own dang shirt. Jeez. Well, then you're going to get upset at them because their shirt looks sloppy. You know, you could have just helped and just made it simple, but there's so many neurotypicals that discourage learning because they assume that an autistic person should know that by now. Not all of us do. And that's infuriating when somebody says that. You know, when I hear that tone of voice of, you're how old and you can't do that? When I hear that tone, I have to bite my tongue because I just want to get angry. Because it's like, I'm asking you so that I can learn. I'm not asking you so that you can make fun of me for not knowing it. I'm ready to know now. I wasn't before. Now I'm ready and able to absorb it. So how about you teach me and help me so that I can be independent, so you don't have to yell at me every time I tell you I don't know how to brown meat. Which I kind of do know how to do that, by the way. Just so you know. I've been watching my mom do it, so I could probably do it if I had to, but I haven't had to yet. But just saying, you know, don't discourage an autistic person from learning. Because when you make them too scared to ask for help, they may not come to you if there is a major problem. Like, they could be in pain from appendicitis or something. Or they could have, like, a bump on their neck that shouldn't be there. Or they could have a lump on their boob or a lump on the testicle or something. And they won't come to you because you always get mad at them for asking for help. And then guess what? They get cancer or their appendix bursts and they're in the hospital now. And they'll be lucky to survive, hopefully, if you catch it soon. But you see, you know, if you discourage them from learning about their body and discouraging them from asking for your help, you could set them up for a whole lot of dangerous things. They could even be, like, assaulted in a sexual way or be assaulted in school, and they won't tell you because you get mad at them. You see? You see how that works? So, don't discourage autistic people from asking for help, okay? Because in the long run, it's the autistic person who's going to get hurt, and all because you didn't want to be inconvenienced with dealing with them. And that's not cool. Alright? So when an autistic person asks you for help, don't treat them like they're not smart or something. Just say, okay, let's do this together and we'll figure it out. Alright? Okay? Good.